Hello, everyone. This is Rahul Vadodkar. Welcome to our next NITRUS talk. It is being given by one of our very young alumnus, Samir Ranjan. He graduated in 2017 and he has spectacular success in hiring, recruitment type of software. He has also written a book and he has succeeded in several startups. So today he wants to share his experience of startups in a startup from beginning to exit. So that's where we all will learn from. That's what we all will learn from Samir. Hey, Samir, please go ahead and take it away.
Thank you so much, sir, for the introduction. And I'm really glad to be here. I remember the first time we did Nitrous Talk, I guess, some 8, 9 months ago. And this has become a trend now, a continuation, which is always the success of any venture that we do. And I'll just piggyback on this example and I'll take uh, onto my presentation, which is more or less this is what we all want to do. That we want to create a system which everybody loves, which everybody values, and at the end of the day, we create some money out of it. And this presentation that I'm going to do is more like a workshop, right? So, uh, more like how do you break into this uh, startup world where you have an idea and you plan it till the exit. Right? Having idea is not the big thing. Everybody in the world has some or other form of idea which they think will go and revolutionize the world, change the world, create $1 billion next company. But there is a specific reason why there are not everybody goes out and creates $1 billion company. And I usually break it down into three factors. One is people. You might not have the right people to guide you, support you, right? If you don't know, you want to build a car and you don't know how to build a car, you will never be able to build a car. You might be thinking of designing the next best F1 engine, but if you don't know how to do that, you will never be able to do that. So that piece is usually comes from the people who can tell you how to do the stuff or how to be successful in what you are doing. Second is usually the process. Any and every venture in the world requires a process. Facebook is Facebook because they invested and they believed in their vision for last 20 years. If I'm not wrong, it started in 2004, it gained publicity in 2004, and it's 2024. So it took at least 20 years to become what it became. Now, the third and the most important part is what I usually call luck, right? Luck is something which is not always in your favor. And in the startup world, out of 365 days, 360 days will be bad. You will only have 5 good days, but you need to have the perseverance and the tolerance to tolerate that 360 bad days, right? All the bad things will be happening. You might be at an age where, if you are at my age, when you don't have family pressure or you don't have a spouse or kid, things become a little easy because you don't have to manage that expectation. But if you're past that, then you have that expectation along with all the responsibilities of the world, right? Now, let's say you are able to dodge that. You have a great partner, you have great kids, you are able to dodge that. Then the next piece comes up, which is, do you know the right people who sit at the right seat so that who can help you out in some way or other? Now, if you have all these three things figured out, now your journey starts as an entrepreneur, right? Entrepreneurship is a skill, is a soft skill rather than a title itself, right? We all might be working in a company and we are daily innovating something. We are trying to figure out how to do the cost cut or do a better resource allocation. We are entrepreneur in ourselves. But what makes an entrepreneur a businessman is how they can take their idea to an exit where they actually make money. In the startup world, when you start your journey, one thing you have, which is your idea. You have nothing else, right? Idea is usually made up of four things, which is innovation, like you are innovating something. There has to be a dream, which we call usually vision. It has to have an empathetic nature. Otherwise, you will wear yourself out if you're not able to emotionally attach it to something. And the fourth and most important thing is assessment. Have you assessed that your idea is going to work? Which in management terms, we call it product market fit, right? You might have a product, you might have a market, but it might not fit. For example, let's say we all are Indian here. We go to India, We all have seen since our childhood, there will be like 10 ration stores in our neighborhood. And out of that, only two will be successful. Eight will be like flip business. They will open for 2 years, then they will close. They will start photocopy machine. They will close. They will start something else. Right? That's what happens. That's where the assessment issue is there. Right? Same goes for even as simple as pen brands, right? Or as simple as milk brand. When I say Amul, each and every one of us can visualize a little girl and Amul white packet, right? That's the power of branding. That's the power of assessment. Did you assess what you are going to sell? If you have all these four things, then the next thing starts, which is where you start creating something you call team. Now, team is not always about the people, team is always about the skill. As a founder, it is a lonely journey. Nobody is going to come to save you on a rainy day. And that's the hard truth I have seen. I have founded four companies, I've sold three of them. I have never seen anybody coming and saying that, okay, take this $100,000 and survive next 4 months. And be it friends, be it family, be it anyone, nobody is going to come and do that because at the end of the day, it is a business, right? And as a founder, it's a lonely journey. You have to create the path in whatever forest you are running, or even on a road that you are running, you have to create your path. Now, the team is always about skills, right? How can you find the adjacent skills? As a founder, you don't have to be a coder if you are working in a technology world. You don't have to understand strategy. You don't have to understand sales, GTM, everything. But you need to have people who understand the five major component of any business, which starts at sales, right? If you have built something, you have to sell something. Sales is often accompanied by marketing, right? Then comes the bigger piece, which is strategy, right? Do you have a strategy on where and what you are going to sell, who you are going to sell, what is the persona it's going to there? If 20 people buy your product, are you going to scale it to 100, scale it to 200, scale it to 1,000? We all think that we'll get the million user, but we never understand that if you have a million user and they are not paying you a single dollar, you're basically adding something which we call tech debt. You will be so high in tech debt that your company will be in loss for many years. So in the strategy, you need to understand how you can evaluate each and every facet of your business. Now, this makes basically the room for the next thing, which is tech. More or less, if you are working in any kind of business, tech can be named as a process, tech can be named as a machinery. If you are going and opening a factory, tech will be called, which is basically the machinery operation. If you have these four things figured out, the last piece is which is operations, right? Now, this is where most of us, most of the techies lack because we never understand how operation works. We think that people management is operation, people management is just expectation management. Operations are more or less which accounts to accounting, which accounts to finances, which account to debt management, which accounts to how you are going to, if somebody runs your credit card for over exceed limit, what are the policies you are going to make? How are you going to mitigate the risk that are going to come into your company due to people, due to processes, due to clients? And once you have figured out these five things, then you have something from idea which you are going to call business, right? Now, we still have not started selling anything. We just know that these are the five, six things that we understand. We have a team where we have hired people who have adjacent skill. For example, I was good in technology. So I had people who understand sales better. I had people who understand marketing better. I had people who understand strategy better. And then along the time, along the line, you will learn all those things, but you will never be good at everything. Usually in the startup world, there is a one common thing that we call it master of none, jack of all, right? And that's what you start as a specialist and you tend to become a generalist over a period of time, because then if anything happens in your company, you at least know what you need to replace and who you need to replace. Most often in the sales thing, in the sales of our startup world, because as I told you, your idea has to have empathy. Empathy usually connects to the sales. Now, let's say you have created the most wonderful product in the world, but nobody is buying it, right? And somebody comes up with an objection. The one thing that we do, and this is also a very cultural thing I have seen mostly in the Indians, that we take everything on our ego, right? And we start saying that we start doing something we call ego selling, which is how can you not buy it? Whatever you are suggesting is stupid. I'm not going to build it, right? Or you go another side of the extreme. You think everything that they are saying is the right thing, and you start go in that direction and build something, right? This is where I every year I see like around 500 presentation of startups looking to raise fund. Out of that, 400 will start as a product company and die as a services company, because product is easier to build. You have built a product, but somebody comes and says some objective thing or objections on the offerings you have. You start go and build something which is required for one client and which cannot be replicable. So when you create a company, your business should be something which we call scalable, right? And then it becomes investable. If it is scalable, then somebody will come and do the investment on it, right? If you are going to change your product for each and every client, it becomes a services company, and it is never scalable because services is always dependent on human resource. Product is not dependent on human resource. If I have created a product and I sold the product, somebody can come and basically take it up and use it. For example, we all have used Colgate toothpaste in the childhood, right? Somebody might have created the Colgate toothpaste, but the company is 100 years old, which means that average life cycle of employees, let's say 20 years. So 5 times the employees have changed. But Colgate had survived the 100 year, right? So that's how we need to create the product. And that's where the product journey starts and the product fit starts. Whatever your customer is going to buy depends on what you are selling, and what you are selling depends on what you are messaging, and what your messaging depends on which cultural region you are in, right? If you are in something which is I was seeing a pitch by Hyundai yesterday. Hyundai is going to launch a new sedan in Middle East, right? And the images that they were using were snow-covered mountain, and the video that were like a car riding through the snow-covered mountain. Right? Middle East never gets snow, right? Nobody is able to now relate it to the car. Also, it has nothing to do with the car. Car is just running on a road, but the backdrop is snow-covered mountain, right? And that's the mistake which most of us founder make, because we made a car. Now we are so much focused on the car that we are thinking nothing else matters in the world. But after COVID, everything has changed. Now the world runs on the optics of the situation, which is, are you famous enough so that I can go and buy something from you? Are you centered enough so that I can come and buy something for you? Or are you left or right wing so that you can just sell it to right or you can sell it to the left? Okay? It all depends on where you are selling, what you are selling. Now, these are something which usually I call it psychology of business, right? Now, psychology is, growing up, I always heard the all the BA and MA subjects were the worst subjects because we were all engineers and we did fight the toughest exam to get into a good college. And I never respected any art subject. But I have learned, if you have to be successful in the business, you have to be an artist. And for that artist, you need to understand psychology. You need to understand how creativity works. Creativity is not just how the product looks like, creativity is how you sell the product. For example, Nike just did the one thing, which is just do it, right? They did a simple logo and just do it, right? Nike basically invested a lot of money in Jordan in 90s, and they created a brand for itself, right? Now, most often, the next piece of the psychology is the money investment, right? Now, this is where the pain point is, right? If you want to create a business which is investment worthy, you need to show to the investor that you are ready to take risk, or you have already taken a lot of risk. And risk is often assessed by how much money you have put in into the business or how much you are making out of it. If you're making enough money out of your business is already investable, and I can come invest money and take huge margin out of it. But if your business is not making money, it is pre-revenue, you need to show it to the investors that there is a higher propensity of risk that you have taken, and you are passionate enough, you are deep enough in something which is going to make my time and the money worth it. Now, this is where the biggest issue is, because truth be told, we don't have enough money, right? We have house mortgage, we have children education, we have to take care of parents back home, everything. Like lot of things, lot of problems happen in this reason, right? Happened with me, happens with every founder, right? So we start uh, again, this is on the psychology side. We are looking, we start doing something which we call cycle trip, right? Which we will basically go and raise some amount of fund, and then we will think like how we can save the money. At the same time, we are creating the product, and we are trying to do it in a manner which is not actually going to look good for the product, right? And this is where the risk quotient comes, right? And this is what defines whether you will be an entrepreneur or not, right? Risk is only one thing that we all have in life, which is leaving everything that is very settled for us and going and putting everything in, and knowing that the odd of being successful is 1 out of 10. And when you know that odd of success is 1 out of 10, but you still go with that okay, even if I get the other kind of odd, I'm okay being having nothing on my plate or nothing in my purse. Now, every age has a different kind of risk. You might be 60 years old, you have done every duty that you were supposed to do, and then you can come and you can start creating something, right? Then you will create something that will business, right? You will never create something which is called, let's say, startup, right? Because startup and business are two different worlds, right? A startup takes years, at least 4 to 6 years to become a business, right? And this is a common trend. I'm not saying every startup will take that much time. Few will take 1 year, few might take 10 years, right? But 4 to 6 years is every startup average time to become a business. Now, let's say you have become a business, right? Most often, the issue with all the founders is raising money, right? When you when you go to raise money, raise fund, right? The biggest question which every investor will ask is how I'm going to make the money, which we call exit in our world, in the venture capital world. How are you going to take my money, give me 5x return, so that I have made enough profit of, because you are working for me now, and that kind of a situation, right? This is where most of us usually lack the understanding, because if you are doing it for the very first time, we might not understand exit at all, because we think that we'll create a company, we'll have a billion user, and one day we'll go to IPO and start ringing the bell, and we'll all be billionaires. But that's not how the wealth works. Wealth works in finding the right time to leave the startup situation, which is, let's say, I created a product which I called Medicode, right? And I created it with Indian entity. I had an Indian entity. I created it with Indian entity. I had 1,500 paid users, which is 1,500 paid user, and they were paying me $15 a month, and this was my recurring revenue. Uh, I met few of the companies which were looking to buy this kind of product, which they can go and sell it to other companies, other countries, and they were ready to offer me something $15 million for it. Right now, I created Medicode 4 months ago. Right, I invested around $7,000 in it. Right, and somebody came and said that they will pay me $15 million. Now, I'm getting some monthly revenue, right? And I'm very okay because I'm still profitable. I don't have to worry about whether I'll be able to make it big or not, because I'm profitable. Things are happening good. But if I get $15 million right now, it basically opens my door to create a larger VC fund of $250 million, because now I can go and show it to investors that yes, I have created a company and get $250 million, right? And this understanding of when to take exit basically determines whether you are an entrepreneur or not. You all do this in your companies, you all do this in your daily job, we all do this in our daily life also. We go to Costco, we buy the largest crate of egg or the largest crate of fruit, because we know we have 5 people in the home. If we buy this, we don't have to come back again till next Sunday, right? 7 days. That's the same thing we plan. But when we do the business, this becomes very ego cell again, because We all have thought that we'll get million user and will every month we'll get $15 million in revenue. But we don't understand that's not how it is going to happen. And getting your first 1,000 paid user is the biggest milestone. If you can get the first 1,000 paid user, you have already established yourself as a businessman. From 1,000 to 100,000 is a journey in itself, which basically most of the people fail here, right? And if you are able to succeed and go to the 1 million, then everything becomes on an autopilot, because now you are just dealing with the lawsuits, right? Nothing else will happen, right? Then you will just get lawsuits. You'll get like all the patent infringement issues and all the good things, because you're not big enough so that people can come and haunt you. But if you have something like this, which is, where you just invested $7,000 and somebody is going to give you $15 million for it, it is more than 2,000% return that you're getting on. There is no stock market in the world which will give you that kind of a return in 4 months. And if you understand when to get out of what you are doing, I think that will make you a much better businessman and much better entrepreneur, because you will have the next thing, you will have the next idea lying into your head, which you can go and work on. Now, one thing that I have seen, and this is where I'll stop, and then you can ask your questions. One thing that I have seen in the last few years is people usually say that you get one idea in one lifetime where you can go and make something big. I think that's the biggest bullshit that Hollywood has sold us. It never happens, right? If you can get idea once, it basically means you're a problem solver. Wherever you will see the problem, you will get a solution. And if you have enough money on your plate, you can go and build something about it. We all have seen Elon Musk doing it. We all have seen Amazon doing it. We all have seen Zuckerberg doing it. They do it not because they are the smartest people on the planet. They do it because they have wealth. They have money to go and invest in the rudimentary ideas and make it big. If you have $250 million in your purse, you can even go and open a steel plant in India and make it run and create enough money for you, which will give you enough money to go put the water filtration plant or go do the coal is melting, right? So it just, money is the biggest motivator. And if it is your first startup, you should always look for how you can make enough money so that you can go and build something of substance for the next second or third or the fourth time. And that's how you become a serial entrepreneur. And that's how you change the mathematics of luck. Right now, you're not riding on luck, you're riding on money, and you're creating luck, because with money, you can hire best people, you can basically present yourself at the best forum, and you can more or less create companies much faster of much better revenue, because you have money, and money always substitutes luck up to 80-90%. So yeah, that's where I will stop. And if you guys have any question, shoot it.
Yeah, excellent speech, Samir. You have, you've shown the maturity. I mean, can't believe you graduated only in 2017. So it's remarkable that how you have kept your eyes open on this type of a journey, and great. So what I would do is right now, anybody who has a question, please raise your hands. I know at the bottom of the screen there is a thing like emoji, and that will raise a small bar where you can put either. First of all, I'm going to say thanks to him like this. So you can also raise hand. There is a hand symbol, so you can raise your hand. That forms a queue, and I can go through the questions. So I got a few questions. I'll start. So you gave a very good high-level overview. Now, can you go a little bit into detail of the brass tacks, like how the process works, like Series A funding, presenting to the people, venture capitalists or private funders, all those things, and then Series A, B, C funding, IPO process.
Sure.
If you can provide some small information on that, that will be wonderful.
Sure. So let's start with funding, right? Funding starts, like, the first thing that we call is seed, right? Seed is basically, let's say you don't have friends or you don't have family who can support you in the money. You have something which we call seed fund. You can go and take it from angel investors. Now angel investors are someone who will have $10,000 to, let's say, $500,000 in their bank account, which they will give you for 10%. At max, angel investors take 10% of your company, not more than that, because they are there to help you out and they are there to make at least 3x in their money when you will raise the next round. So let's say you created a company X and you raised $100,000 from an angel investor at a 10% valuation, which basically means your company is valued at $1 million. Now you used $100 million, you started creating some revenue. Now let's just talk about tech right now, right? And tech, and I'll do tech and AI, right? So there is something which we call EBITDA, which is how much revenue you are generating and how much growth potential is there in your business. So let's say you used your 100K and now you are generating at least $250,000 revenue. This is your annual revenue. That's what you are generating with your business. And you still need fund because now you want to be on a growth path where you want to hire more people. You might go want to pitch, patent, and do all the legal stuff that you want to do. Now you are raising, let's say, $5 million, and you are willing to give up to 20% of the company, right? So right now you own like what 100% here. When you did seed, you own 90%, right? Now, when you go and raise something which we call Series A usually starts at cap of $5 million up till $20 million. In the new AI world, that's what the usual margin is. Now, Series A is usually raised by something which you call venture capitalist or PE firms, right? Which is private equity or venture capitalist. Now, these are the people who are not there in your business to make, uh, to empathize with you or say that you are doing a good job. These are the people who are there to make money out of your business, right? So what happens is when you go and raise something you call Series A, the first thing that they will do is what is your valuation, right? Now, valuation is two things. One is perceived, right? Which is this is the perceived valuation that you can get, and something which is actual, right? Which is based on, let's say, you are earning 250, you are basically every year you are doing 250K, and it's tech and AI EBITDA is right now it is around 30. So I will value your company at 7 point, let's say $5 million, right? That's what I am. This is your actual valuation. But now let's say you're working on AI, you have few feature which is coming, you might get some patent. So this basically can become perceived value can be around 25 million, right? Now perceived is something which is what's your total market cap, how many people you can reach out to, how many people are willing to buy your product. This basically creates a perceived valuation. Now, let's say you understand that your company can go for $25 million, right? And this is what the valuation you are seeking. A VC will basically come and will try to negotiate in this perceived valuation because they want at least 20% of your company, right? Because they understand as a VC, when I invest, I understand that this is the value that company can bring, but I want founder to give me at $20 million, right? Now you might think that this is the bad thing. Why are you doing this to the founder? But at the end, this is the business. This is the business that I am in, which is of making money, right? So that's what we do. We basically try to go and negotiate or any VC go and tries to negotiate the valuation. Now, let's say up till now, you have lost 30% of your company and it is valued at $25 million. You started it with zero, right? You started with $1 million and now it is at $25 million. Uh, Now the Series B happens when you get lot of big ticket size. Now, why it will happen? Because you still had $5 million, but your tech burn is so high that you're burning at least $1 million a month, right? But one good thing is happening that you are also earning $750 million a month also. $750,000 a month, right? From $250,000 a year, you are now earning 750 a month, right? So you have shown a tremendous growth path, but you are still burning too high, which happens with most of the tech companies, because as you add a lot of data, as you add a lot of processes, your software cost increases, and the resources are not cheap because they will come at a huge. They might not. You might have stole them from Meta or Google or FANG companies, so you have to pay that salary, right? Even with the equity, nobody will leave their $500,000 job to come and work at $100,000 job, because that's not how the world works, right? So you need a lot of money because you're now burning a deficit of 250K is there every month, but you are earning so good that you want to go and raise now $50 million. which will basically give you a runway of, let's say, 3 years, right? You can every 3 year you can burn 250K every month, right? But in that 3 year, you will be able to make it like $1.5 million in monthly recurring revenue. You can make it if you go in the growth path. When you do the series B, usually the VCs who come, they will basically try to now take 30%. It starts at 15 to 30% of the company, right? Depending on which kind of deal size you are doing, what kind of ticket size you are getting, right? So let's now, as a founder, you have already lost half of your company, right? Which is now you are not a majority owner, you are a minority owner in the company, which is now you might own 45% of the company, and rest 55% is owned by different people on your cap table. This might be your VCs, this might be your employees, right, or common stocks that you might have given it to the company. Now, every VC that is out there that looks for only two things: one, how much you are earning money every month, and what is your projected revenue, how big is your sales pipeline, right? If let's say you are earning $750,000 a month and your sales pipeline is zero, you don't have any new deal coming in, right? You're not going to raise any money, because then I cannot put any money in. It doesn't make any sense. I'll give you something I call loan, right? I'll give you loan and I'll ask 8%, 9% interest on it. Whatever the bank interest is there, I'll just ask 1% more onto it, so that I know that my money is going to come from you anyhow, because I have given you enough line where you can burn, and you are earning enough money so that you can pay me interest, right? So that's how different series of investment works. If you have the first angel investor, usually angel investors are the people who will introduce you to the next round VCs, right? And these VCs will basically take you to the PE firm or the M&A firms, which will do your series B, series C, series D, right? Most often when you raise up to $50 million, there won't be a single entity player. There will be multi-entity player, which is you might have 5 VC firm coming together and doing this for you. And this is, you don't have to worry about it. This is basically your PE firm or the initial VC firm which was there. They take care of it. So you don't have to invest your brain in it. You just have to make sure that you are able to negotiate some value at the end, and you're not diluting everything that you own. So that's how the funding game works. It is tied to after Series A, it is just tied to how much money you are making. Nobody cares if you're an obnoxious person or you don't know how to speak or you don't know what to do. Just how much money you're making.
That was fantastic, Samir. By the way, are you guys able to hear me?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, I lost my network connection, so I had to go on my cell phone, and that's why there was some echo in between. So I apologize for that. So we have Kavita ji raised a question, so I will let her ask the question. You can unmute yourself, Kavita.
Yeah, yeah, very good talk, Samir. Really informative. I have one very crucial question. How do you deal with co-founder relationships?
I am very bad at dealing in any and every kind of relationships, let alone co-founder. But
Mhm.
I think like what we did and what I learned in the initial days was, if you define your lanes very clearly, right, which is uh, if let's say I am the tech person, right, and I will take all the tech calls, and I'm not going to go and uh, pitch someone in the sales call until unless I'm asked to, right? If you have your lanes very clearly defined, the problems are never there. Most often the problem comes when every co-founder has same amount of power on every entity. For example, you might have created a social media post because you are a marketing head. Now every other founder is going and coming and pitching in, right? Pitching in is okay, right? But the decision making should be only on one person. And second is, you cannot have ego in it, right? Which is most often, and I have seen most often that even I have been wrong because of my age also, because I don't have 30 years of experience, right? So most of the decisions I took was wrong. But if somebody comes to me and say that you are wrong, uh, I give them opportunity and option to explain what I did wrong, what should I have done it. But it doesn't mean that I have to go and follow it. It just means that I will know that what are the other options that I could have taken it, because I always believe that there is no right decision. You take decision and then you go and try to figure out how to make it right. Because the startup is a very fast moving world, right? You took one decision yesterday, today every uh, schematics of the things have changed. So it's just learning from the people and clearly defining exact roles and responsibility. Otherwise, there is only circles which will happen. People will come back to you, and then you will go back to them, and no decision making will be ever happening.
So
Thank
excellent
you.
question, excellent answer, Samir. Kavita ji, you were saying something.
I'm just saying thank you.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, definitely, because this is a very good question. There is a big company which had two people, actually three, but third one was just third wheel. But two people. One of them was an excellent engineer, and the other was an excellent marketing guy. Jobs and Wozniak. So they had a very separate lanes to operate, and that's a very good response, Samir. So anybody else wants to ask a question? I have a couple of them, but I want to let other people. Yeah, Shrikant has raised a hand. Go ahead, Shrikant.
Yeah, Samir, first of all, I thank you for excellent talk. I mean, this is such a deep subject and you explained it in such a nice, easy manner. It's really amazing.
Thank you, sir.
Some of the um, questions that I have, first thing is that you talked about the actual valuation and the perceived valuation. So what is the basis? How do you calculate the perceived valuation? Because I guess whatever funding you want to do is done on the perceived one rather than the actual one, right?
Correct. Correct. So, sir, perceived valuation starts with something which we call market cap, right? Which is, for example, let's say, I'll take a very generalized example. In tech world, let's say somebody comes up tomorrow and creates a newer form of social media, which can work like Facebook, right? It has reels, it has connection, it has everything, right? Or let's say a LinkedIn, right? Somebody comes and creates a LinkedIn, which is most often everybody wants to do because the job market is so shaky and people want to reach out to different people, right? Now LinkedIn has 800 million user as of today, right? Now 800 million user is basically, this is what LinkedIn can get. And if LinkedIn is not growing as they want to grow, right, total people in the world is 7.2 billion people, right? Now anybody who is the founder will say that our market cap is 7.2 billion people, that we can get, our product is suitable for everyone. But if you look at realistically, out of 7.2 billion people, 30% will be people who are under the age of 16, right? So it basically takes off that thing, right? And then there will be another 30% who might be doing a blue collar job, which doesn't even require any form of uh, LinkedIn connection, right? So net and net, I am working on around 40%, right? Now 40% can also be marginalized based on how many countries have internet access, how many countries have like for example, China doesn't allow, how many countries have regulations in places which allows your company not to work there. For example, you create a new product and you launch it in Europe. There are 50 regulations that you have to follow, which it starts with email address to what you can market, what you cannot market, right? So let's say this 40% also get reduced to around 10%, right? Which basically means out of 7.2 billion people, 720 is your realistic number, right? Which LinkedIn has overshoot itself, right? So 720 million people is realistically you can have, but now LinkedIn has duplicates and all those issues will be there, right? So let's say 720 is your actual market cap. Now, if I am an investor, I will look at your deck, and your deck will basically go and say this number, which is 7.2 billion people, right? I know that I'm never investing in the founder because they have never done the due diligence correctly, right? Due diligence is something which founder has to do on themselves. But now let's say instead of 7.2 billion people, you have written that I'll have 1 billion users, right? Which means you are still very close. You might not have taken all the factors, but you are very close, right? So I'll have a company which will do the due diligence for me. They will come and say that 720 is the realistic number that these guys can achieve. Now, how many people are there who uses two platforms for the same thing, right? Which is, are there like, I don't think any one of us is using two forms of LinkedIn, right? We just use LinkedIn and rest other we might have just logged in once and never using or paying any money on it, right? So this number will still come down to five. Let's call it 400, right? 400 is a number which might be a very realistic number that you can achieve. Now I'll go and see what all features you have which differentiates you from LinkedIn, right? And then the current market that is going on. Let's say you have created a medium by which people can give referral to other people who are going and looking for the job, right? That's a product in itself, right? Now let's say LinkedIn doesn't do that specifically, but your product just does that, right? Where people can connect with someone, and as soon as they connect, you can give them referral to any jobs that you have, right? Now, this says that this is very cyclic, and this is something which is very 3-month, 4-month kind of a product, because you won't look for job for 5 year, 10 year, right? You'll just go there, look for the people who are going to give you job, and then you will get that, right? So I will basically understand that your user average life cycle is 4 months, right? Now, every month you are charging me $20, right? I know for 4 months, a user can come and pay $80 to you. If everything goes well in your planning, in your marketing execution, the maximum you can make is 400 into 80, right? That's your lifetime earning that you can get, right? So this is the first number that I have in my brain. Now I will see how monthly, what kind of numbers you are getting, right? Are you every month, are you doing 30% over the last month or 40% over the last month, so that I know that there is a fire in the market which everybody wants to buy your product, right? That determines how I'm going to perceive it. But let's say you're just doing 1% over the last month, which means basically, even if I give you a lot of money, you might not be able to take 1% to 50% because there is no organic push into your product, right? So these are the factors that determine the perceived growth, right? Organic growth market, how much money you can earn in a lifetime. And the third is basically how much monthly you are earning from your product.
Okay, okay. Excellent. So, I mean, you have to do your own due diligence to reach to that number.
Yeah.
And be able to convince whoever you're approaching that that's something which is justified.
Correct.
My second question is, how do you find the angel investor? And a related one is that, you know, it's a startup. It may work, it may not work. So, I mean, if it just goes bankrupt or it doesn't work, then do those angel investors have got lien on your personal assets?
No, they don't. So I'll start with the last one, right? Angel investor, any investor that is out there, they know the risk of the market, right? Which is, if they are investing in 100 companies, out of that 90 will fail, right? That's the market trend, right? But the 10 that will be successful, that will be so successful that it will offset the loss of 90, right? So they know that where they are investing, and there's a chances of failure also. Now, how do you find angel investors? There is, every city nowadays has something which we call network of people who might not be very high net worth individual, but they have some, like Texas has Texas Angel Network. Like I know SF has a SF Angel Network, right? If you don't want to go to these routes, there is something which is called SBIR grants, right? So which is small business grants are there, right? And they pay you up to $500,000 in the grants, right? Now, SBIR has a lot of things, which is for Indian origin founder, right? It might be for colored founder, it might be for women founder, right? Lot of different funds that they have. And every year, if I'm not wrong, government puts around $200 billion in these funds, right? And around $500 in National Science Foundation, which is, if you're doing anything related to defense, education, agriculture, manufacturing, you have $500 billion worth of grants that you can win from the government, right? Which most of us don't look at it because nobody talks about it. So that's another avenue where you don't, grants is something which they have given you money. You will have milestone. If you achieve the milestone, you'll get the next check. If you don't achieve the milestone, nobody is going to come and ask what happened with that money. So that's how this game is usually played.
Very nice. Very
All
nice.
right.
Hey, thanks, Srikanth, for very relevant questions. Majid sir has raised a hand. So after that, I have one question. So Majid sir.
Samir, Very nice. You touched the mathematics of the startup business and, of course, psychology. So I want to just focus on your own experience because what lessons are learned from you. What was the gravest mistake you made? You think in a business, and what was the best decision you made in the business? I need to know through your experience.
Right.
Most of the things which you talked is a very logics and makes sense, but I need to know what you did to really navigate your risk and your decision making, when you face the risk. So, what are the two extreme? The one which is biggest mistake, and other one the best decision you made to be sort of like a successful, which is of course is the dream of having our own business, right? So
Right.
that's what I don't know if you don't
Right.
mind.
Yeah, sure, sir. So I'll start with little anecdote, right? I graduated in 2020 December, and I had a job offer from Deloitte, and I was very confused what I should do, right? So I called up here the alumni of our NIT Raipur. Like when I came to Dallas, I never felt like I came to America because I got a family here in NIT Raipur, right? And we party every other month, so it's like seeing your extended family, right? I called them up and I called Satish sir, and basically I asked him like, what should I do? Should I take a job or should I go and do the startup because I have that option now? And he said like, what's your age? I said 24, and he said, why are you doing the job? You always have option to do the job. That is the reality of most of the people. You have an option to go and fail. So go and fail. And I basically got the laptop from Deloitte. I basically opened it up, wrote the email that with their laptop to their HR that I'm not joining. So sorry, I'm going to do something of my own, and basically send the email and then send the laptop. So I think that was the best decision that I ever took. The worst decision was when I was building the startup. I emphasized everything on building the business instead of building myself, my personality, or my health, right? I lost my health tremendously in 2021, 2022. I started getting anxiety attacks, like proper anxiety attacks. I feel that the whole world is collapsing on me, right? And then I understood that health is a better wealth than any other thing. And once I aligned my health, my mindset got more aligned towards what I was doing. One thing that I continued and I continue to do in my journey is I understand there's a huge risk of failure, but I also understand that if I survive that 1 month of failure, there might be a day when I will win. And I have seen most of the people leave everything when they get the failures, right? I have seen constant failure for 3 years. Every day I saw failure because nobody was buying this product. We were endlessly developing it and trying to raise fund. People will come to your face and say all the bad things. And that's the reality because people will say, oh, you're building something which has no meaning. They'll come and say that this is non-investable. But I think after 3 years, I saw the first light, and then things started to change. I had the ups and downs then also, but more or less, it was the grunt work of 3 years and not giving up that basically made the success come true. It's just the perseverance game. I learned perseverance is the biggest thing, and that's the only thing that I did. So I
Yeah.
don't know whether I answered your question correctly or not.
No. You did. And Samir, I just want to relate with you what mistake I did. I had a couple of businesses which I sold, but my biggest mistake was the greed. I could have gotten, I should have gotten more and more and more. And what happens is the market just changed. So the greed was one of the things that psychologically I had to build it up. And now with the new businesses coming in, we have to be very practical. Always, the market is always changing, and they are always against you. You are always having an art. So you are absolutely right that you have to have a time value of the money.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you don't have the value and time for the money, I think that is wrong. There's something they don't teach in the MBAs, right?
They don't. Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
have to learn your own lesson. So I
Yeah.
really appreciate what's very good. Thank you very much for the
Yeah.
answers.
life is a big series of lectures we learn, and if we keep our eyes open, like Samir did, we can really get over all those
Yeah.
doldrums. And Samir,
Yeah.
are you sure you graduated in 2017? The way you are presenting, it looks like you have 30 years of experience.
Yeah, I learned one thing. Like Samir Vajpayee sir used to say that, and he's training and placement head right now in the Nigeria. He used to say that it's not the year of experience; it's how many experiences you have in a year. I never understood it,
Oh,
but now
very
when
Yes.
I
nice.
stand here, I understand that thing. Like 5 years in the startup world, it will start making you look like 20 years older than what
Yeah,
you are. So.
great. Gopesh has raised his hand, but before that, there was a chat question by Sachin Sripati. His question was, how do you evaluate the idea before jumping in? And then I'll come to you, Gopesh.
Yeah, so more or less, like you have to do something which we call user survey. You have to take your idea to 50 people, 100 people, and understand whether it is a need or not. It might just be a problem that you're solving for yourself. But if 100 people come and validate, yes, this is something that they need to be solved, then it is worth putting your time in. You always create a small prototype which people can use and see the true value. And then instead of 100, you go to 200, 300 people and show that prototype. And once they have validated the prototype, you go and ask the question, will they pay XYZ amount of dollar for it? And if you get that validation, then your idea is ready to be executable and you can create a business around it.
Okay, great. Gopesh, you go ahead, please.
Yeah, hi Samir. Thanks for your this very very valuable talk. This is really helping me a lot to think on what I was doing and what I should do. So my question is, that you told that startup is a journey of alone. You have to run a long, right? End of the day, you feel you need a partner, co-founder, or someone who can work with you like complement, not supplement. So how you evaluate a co-founder? How you can get the right person? Do we need to think our friends or college, or how do you think that who is the right person? How do you evaluate the person?
Right. I can tell you, sir, how do I do? I usually go with the vibe of the people, right? Vibe is basically what kind of energies I'm getting from them, right? If I feel that it's not always the smartness, it's like, do they think like me, right? They don't have to have adjacent skills, but they have to have the similar vision as I have, right? If I go and say that, let's go create something which will change XYZ industry, and they are naysayers, right? Which is, no, we don't want to do that, right? Then you are in a stuck
Mhm.
relationship because it is not going to be meaningful and you cannot grow from that side. So I usually look for people who have opinion, but they have the same vision, right? Because I don't want people who don't have opinion also. Otherwise, it would be just a sycophant working for you,
Mhm.
right? Which I have seen enough in corporate America, right? So it's more or less I need people who have same vision, some opinion, and a little bit skill if they have on the adjacent skill. It works out beautiful.
Okay. What is the right place we get such people? I mean, we go to some startup world talk somewhere, get
It's
people.
usually circle of friends, sir. Like I started another venture house right now. So I met the guy who's managing partner of it at an event where I was giving keynote. So he was also attending. He gave his note, and we were just discussing what kind of food we like, and we were discussing about sushi.
Mhm.
So sushi and sashimi, right? And somehow we bonded on that. So we hang out 3, 4 times eating sushi, and then we talked and we understood we have the similar vision on what we want to do in the DFW startup ecosystem. He
Mhm.
brings marketing and business development. I bring strategy and operation. So that's how this partnership started. So
Okay.
more or less
Yeah.
for me, it is instinct and the energy or the gut feeling that you can call, right? So I
And sushi, I guess.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
You
great.
can't go wrong with sushi.
Of food, yeah, any kind of food. So,
Great, great answer, Amish. So
Thank you so much.
I think we are close to the time. I have one small last question is, you seem to have absorbed a lot of information. And okay, Srikanth has raised the hand. So after my question, Srikanth will be last. And then I will ask Majid sir to give a vote of thanks. So can you share some books or some resources where you gained all this knowledge? Because obviously college doesn't teach all this, so you have absorbed from somewhere. So give a good recommendation.
Right. I'll say like I read a lot of books. I read a lot of books which is not self-help books. Right. I don't read those self-help books at all because when you read it, you will start feeling demotivated after the second book because you'll think you're not doing anything in life worthwhile. Right. So I read books like and I have like right now I went to India, so I bought something which is Eat, Play, Love, right? And then there is I like to read shairis a lot, poems a
Mm.
lot. So I have a lot of Javed Akhtar books and a lot of Rumi, right? So I have those kind of books, and it helps me think on a very different tangent. So that helps me. But the knowledge that I get about the startup, I read only one book, which is Zero to One by Peter Thiel, right? I
Okay.
think it's one of the best book that is out there. Investor in Facebook, and he did saw something which nobody saw in Zuckerberg. So
Yeah.
and he talks about it in his book. So it's one of the nice book. But usually I hear a lot of podcast, which is people's experience because or
Mm.
in my job I anyhow meet like around 300 400 people every week.
Mm.
When you hear a lot of stories, you understand that where they are coming from and how they are thinking, what they are thinking, right? So in business, psychology is the most important thing, and psychology I don't think can be taught by any book. It has always, when you go and hear the story of different people, you understand their journey, their issues, and how did they overcome it. It might not help you at all, but it will give you a reference point when you are there.
Okay. Great. And when I said our college doesn't teach this, I didn't mean any disrespect. Our college is fantastic, great technology, but
Right.
we don't have a business. At least during our time, we did not have a business degree.
Right.
So thanks for
We
telling that.
try.
And
Yeah. Sorry.
Shrikant, can you ask a question? And then I'll request Majid sir to give a vote of thanks.
Yeah, it's more of a clarification, Samir. In the beginning of your presentation, you were talking about case where the monthly revenue was 1,500 users, $15 per user. So that comes out to be what 20
20.
22,500 a month.
Yeah.
And then you said that you were able to roll it to $15 million.
Yeah.
So how is that? How does that math work out? Was that just an example or a real case?
No, this is a real case, sir. This just I closed 3 weeks ago, right? So 1,500 is the users that I got in like 2 month span, right? And I gave them a sales channel, which is basically now the company will be able to sell it into Russian medical school, Indian medical school, African medical school, and Middle East medical school, which basically they have around 3.3 million users, 3.3 million students, right? Even if they go and this is 3.3 million students who need this kind of a product, right? And even if I go with very conservative number of 100,000 users who will buy this product, it basically they create 100,000 user community. Now these companies can come and upsell a lot of things, which is they can upsell medicines, they can upsell medical instrument, they can upsell coaching institutes, they can upsell a lot of different micro degrees that happens in the medical journey. So then the perceived value for them, it was coming around, they will spin it up into different product and sell it for $100 million, right? So in this manner, everybody makes money. So they gave me 15 million. So that was the offer. They started with 12. I negotiated till 15. And then I said, I don't want to negotiate more because $7,000 to 15 million makes no
Yeah.
sense for me to waste time on it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So the 15 is kind of a number of agents who can further spread your license or something like that, right?
No, 15 is like I sold like license and everything. This is whole
Okay.
company sold. So I don't want anything of that company. And for me, it is better because I don't want to have an operational overhead. I like to work with less people, create companies, sell it so that at the end of the day, I'm making money and I'm
Mhm.
not too worried on. I don't like HR things. So that is my personal issue also. I don't like to do paperwork and those things. So I want to keep it as low as possible.
Okay. All right. Excellent.
Thank you. Excellent speech. I think we are almost at the end of it. So I would request Majid sir to say a vote of thanks, and then we can conclude.
Okay, quickly. Samir, it was fantastic. Your dream has come true. Please pray for all others like you guys, young guys. Their dream should come true, because in America you own a business and in a house. That is the dream. So congratulations for you. Fantastic. The only thing is that, as an engineer, I think you had a very good lesson learned. Is that you had to be an artist and make sure that we all subjects are important to be successful in lives, with the relationship and arts and commerce. So that was a good lesson learned. And I also encourage you to have a networking. Help us out who are, whenever you hear something or what, we can have another talk or maybe, but keep networking going on in our group. That's what our lifestyle is. That's what the business we are after. Rest everything will come and fall in. There will be a success. 3 years of rigorous grinding you went through is a hallmark. Okay, so
Yeah.
that is the benchmark that you should know. That 3 years you guys have to go and beat the payments.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. And I write a lot of shairi, so I'll send you my blog.
I do
And
read it, sir. I do read it in the book.
you
Yeah.
do, because I got selected for recta.org shortlisted. Hopefully, I'll make it there. But I'm very glad that we have our alumnus of these categories. So all the best, and everyone who has attended and who listened this, they're all welcome for the future talks like this. Rahul, you've been doing fantastic job. So
Thank you, sir.
thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I think I'm going to stop recording, and we usually hang out after this for a few minutes. So let me just stop recording.